Hi and welcome to today's video. My name is McCoy-Ward. If you've never come across my work before, I make controversial and alternative videos on economics and finance. I'm here in Las Vegas for the next week. I'm staying at a couple of hotels here and doing a little bit of work and looking at real estate here. And as this is a monthly warning video, you can look at all the warnings on the playlist. A lot of people say, Neil, be more positive. We want to see happy stuff. Guys, I've never seen a warning video or anyone give a warning before that was very happy and positive. So just to let you know, this isn't one of these happy clappy videos. This is stuff to warn you about that's going on in the economy, what things I see forthcoming in the future so that you can be best prepared to deal with them. But with that said, let me jump right in now then. So you'll probably remember a couple of weeks ago, I said the media was moving into this new phase now. I said I didn't know exactly where it was going to be going, but we knew there was going to be some new propaganda coming out in terms of all the media output. And what we've seen now is where they are going with it, which is a positive spin on things, a big recovery. Everyone's going with the same message, doesn't matter which media you look at, of this big recovery going on in the markets. And I'm here today to say that that is not true. Or if you want to know more accurately, I would say, yes, there's a recovery for now. So they're the words they leave off, for now. Because a few days of good weather and sunshine do not overcome numbers and mathematics. You know, people say, oh, you should take into account the emotions and this and that. Emotions are not taken into account of mathematics and statistics. Remember that, statistics. So don't get swept away into all the hysteria. A lot of people are trying that on me. It doesn't matter where I go. People are trying with all the hysteria to try and sweep me up with this herd mentality. But for me, it simply doesn't work because data, science, and statistics cannot overcome the herd mentality in my mind. And if you watch my channel, I'm guessing that's true for you as well. If you get my drift, don't get caught out in all of this mass hysteria right now. And remember this quote: no civilization in history has ever printed their way to prosperity. Because that's what we have right now. We have this fake economy, this fake recovery, fueled by stimulus, fueled by new currency creation. Again, all this new currency being pumped into the marketplace has been created out of thin air. There is nothing backing it. It's not as if there's gold backing all of this new currency creation. And of course, when you add another cup of water to a pool of water, the pool doesn't stay the same size. It gets bigger. So when you have more currency in circulation, all of this currency has to go somewhere, and the commercial banks don't want to keep it. So what do? They get it out. What do they loan on? Businesses, not looking good right now. A lot of loans have collapsed. So we've got all the business loans, and a lot of them are not looking good. And then we have the other thing that banks love to loan on, and that is real estate, houses, property. And at the moment, this is booming. So of course, the banks are very happy. Everyone's happy because all of this new money that's coming out, it's all going into loans. People are refinancing. But let me remind you of this. What happened in 06, 07, just before the last housing crash? 50% of the GDP of the economy was created by refinancing money. It was the housing market in general. So all of this, or part of this, is from this housing market boom, which can only go on for so long. Human beings have a short memory, and we feel as though it's a kind of bias, it's a psychological bias. When things are going well, we think it's just going to continue and continue and continue. But that's not true. These things always correct eventually. That's the housing market, that's the stock market, that's all the other markets, including, ladies and gents, I know you're not going to like me saying this, the cryptocurrency market. These markets will all correct at some point. And talking of the stimulus, where people are very happy at the moment with all this stimulus money, I was going for a drive with my wife around the Camarillo premium outlets in California just last week. You can see the parking lot's full. So there's a lot of people here. Before, all of this was just empty. But everyone's out spending money again now. Look, none of these spots are available. Really, really busy. And it went from a complete ghost town where, you know, tongue-in-cheek tumbleweeds were going around, to just this mass frenzy of a long line of cars to get into the outlets to go shopping, and all the stores were open and they're booming and lots. These were dead, you know, everything was dead here. But all of a sudden now, it's become really, really busy. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it's all become busy just when everyone got their stimulus checks. Prior to that, I didn't see many people out shopping, doing anything. But now, all the stimulus checks are out, and there's a lot of people out and about. But a week before, there was no one there. So people say, oh no, you're just reading too much into this, Neil. No, I'm a critical thinker. This is logic. This is simple common sense, ladies and gentlemen. Don't just listen to what you hear from other people or the media. Always think for yourself. Always have common sense. Don't just go along with the masses, because the masses are usually wrong. Look back throughout history. The masses are wrong. Look at the 1920s, the roaring 20s, where everyone was in the stock market. The baker, the butcher, you know, everyone. It didn't matter who they were. Every single person was in the stock market just before the crash. Be smart. Have critical thinking. Start looking into this stuff for yourself. So I don't believe that this is just a coincidence that all the stores are now booming, whereas a week before the stimulus, there was no one going into the stores. It's pretty obvious to me what's going on. And just looping back into what we're saying about all the stimulus and all this currency that's floating around, and of course all the cryptocurrency new wealth that's there. My wife and I were just in the Rolex store at the Wynn Hotel here in Las Vegas, speaking to a very lovely lady there. And I was absolutely, it takes a lot to surprise me. And this really shocked me what she said, because there was no watches in the store. And we were very confused at where's all the watches? And she said, you can order them and it will be 14 months before they can arrive. But we have 5 watches in store. And we looked at each other really, we're a bit confused. 5 watches. One of them was a men's watch for $50,000. Another one was a lady's watch for $20,000 and all this sort of thing. And it dawned on me what was going on. So I started to ask her some questions and we were back and forth. What's happening is people are coming in with all of this new wealth, all this new money. And I'm not talking about people with stimulus here. I'm talking about, the K-shape, the people who are earning the huge money right now. And they're concerned. So all the millionaires and maybe even billionaires, but millionaires in general here, they're taking this money, and she said a lot of them are crypto millionaires, cryptocurrency. So they're cashing out of their crypto, or some of it, and they're buying physical, tangible assets with that money. And that is a smart thing to do. I say this all the time, and actually this week, I told my private community that I was pulling out some of my profits from the cryptocurrency market. This is the time when you start pulling out profits. Not all of it, you leave some in, but you pull out profits. This is just a very simple investment strategy. When you make big profits, you pull it out, especially when you make profits on intangibles. So intangibles are digital things and contracts and things like that. And you turn them so that you're not overgeared in intangibles into tangible assets. So Rolex watches are a perfect example, and why some of them, someone just told me downstairs, there is a 10-year waiting list on some Rolex watches. I'm just staggered by this. If you're getting value from this video so far, can you do me a quick favor? Just click the like button below. Why not subscribe to the channel if you're not already? And leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think of the points in this video. So before I move on to my next point, you might be wondering, well, what am I going to do with all the money that I've taken out of my cryptocurrency portfolio? I'm going to use that money and I'm going to put it into gold. So that will be vaulted gold. So physical gold that I own, and it's going to be in a vault stored. And some people say, if you don't hold it, Neil, you don't own it. Guys, you honestly, once you start getting over, say, $10,000 worth of precious metals and things like that. I don't think it's a good idea to hold that at your home. I really don't. I think you need a private vault, something that's trustworthy, or someone that you trust, or even an institution that is very trustworthy. And you've got to get this stuff vaulted. Don't just keep it all with you, because if you ever have a home invasion or anything like that, make sure to watch my Great Depression series, by the way. If you haven't watched that, and what happens when these sort of cycles come to an end and this K-shape comes to an end, definitely watch that Great Depression series. Or if you just want a really quick history lesson, have a look at what happened in the French Revolution, have a look at what happened to the king and what the military did. They just stepped by and the citizens just, well, you look into that. It involves a guillotine and a few other things. Have a look at what happened there. So the other thing that the media is talking about at the moment is this huge recovery, the fastest recovery since December 1983 in the manufacturing sector. But what the media is leaving out here is the fact that all these price rises are going up, commodities. Remember what I said a year ago, buy your lumber now, because what's happened, it's gone up 140% and it's still going up just in the last year. I know a lot of you have been commenting on my video saying thank you for that a year ago, because you actually bought the lumber and you bought the materials and things for your houses and stuff like that. Commodity prices are going to continue going up. As I said 9 months ago now, when the stimulus begins, give it 12 to 18 months before the inflation hits. And so many people are saying, there's no inflation, Neil. The Fed's saying there's no inflation. If there's no inflation, can someone please explain to me, and you can explain to me like I'm a child if that helps, how is it that gas prices are up so much? When you go to the gas pump, why have some of the prices have doubled? Why is that? Why has lumber gone up 140%? All these earth metals, why is it when you go to the grocery store now, the prices have gone up? And why have the packages, well actually they're sort of the same size, but the stuff in there is this much. Why is everything shrinking? Shrinkflation. You can't fool me with this stuff. And I'm guessing if you watch my channel, you can't be fooled either. The inflation is hitting. And this is only the first wave that we're getting right now. Imagine what happens when the second, the third, the fourth wave, the 1.9 trillion stimulus comes in, the 2 trillion, Biden stimulus that he's just announced on all of these major works projects. All of this will hit 12 to 18 months later. Mark my words on this. If you don't believe my forecast, just watch the playlists on my channel that says Accurate Forecast 2020, and you'll see how accurate most of these things are. And the other thing to bear in mind is that it might not be a good thing that manufacturing is booming so much, because they're taking on all these new workers, which is great. It's good that we've got all these new workers coming into the workforce. But with all these rising commodity prices, what do you think is going to happen for the consumer later on down the line? It takes time to manufacture things. Sometimes it goes to all different places in the country or the world. Once it's built and it comes back ready for consumers, these prices are going to go up on all sorts of products and services. They have to. That is the law of money and inflation. And just on jobs and talking about the unemployment rate, which the government says is 6% right now, you would have to be a fool to believe these numbers. There is no way unemployment is sat at 6%. And again, that's the U3. We have U3, U6. U6 takes into account a lot of other things. But why are they not talking about the labour market participation rate? It's pretty obvious why, because they know people aren't participating. And I don't blame the people. A lot of people are really angry at all these people not returning to work. You're focusing your anger in the wrong place. This is just basic human needs. Why, if you can get $300 a week from not working, why would you go and work a minimum wage job? I just can't see why you would go back to work to get a minimum wage when you can get $300 a week for doing nothing, sat at home, or whatever you're going to do. You might be, pursuing other interests, but it just doesn't make sense. And you're getting stimulus checks on top. Oh, and rent moratoriums, so you can say that you can't pay your rent, or mortgage forbearance, so you don't have to pay your mortgages. The government is creating all of these problems, this fake economy, and it is not a real rebound. This is going to be really, really bad later on. So please, ladies and gentlemen, all of my friends watching, protect yourself as well as you possibly can. Don't believe the media. Again, watch my Great Depression series and have a look what was said the day before the collapses in the Great Depression era. The media and other organizations, shall we say, they cannot be trusted. They cannot be trusted. Just look at all the things that have happened over the last year. Don't put your faith in the wrong place. I mean, if we look at the unemployment numbers last year, so a year ago today, it was around 15%. So to say it's now 6%, I just don't believe that. And even if we look at the U6 rate, and which I've got here, that according to the website is 11%. But Shadow Stats actually puts unemployment at 25.7% as of today. Now, that seems a little higher than I would have thought. I would have thought closer to 18%, somewhere in that region. But John Williams at Shadow Stats is just a financial genius. So if he's saying it's closer to 26%, then there's a high chance that that is accurate. And also remember, in the UK and other European countries, we have these furlough programs, which means the government is still paying 80% or whatever it is in each country of the person's wage. So they are not counted as unemployed whilst they're on furlough. But furlough has to end eventually, just as all of these programs have to end eventually. And of course, you're creating a bubble where people are reliant now on all of this. If you just pull the rug away, God help us all. And I was just reading an article that said 190,000 jobs have been lost just in the last year on the UK high street. 190,000 is a huge number for such a small country. So where have all these jobs gone, and why are they not being accounted for in a number of the statistics? I think personally it's because of the furlough program and some other programs that are going on. But ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying here is this is all very concerning, and the numbers, let me explain one thing. The reason they're not giving accurate numbers and they're saying we've got this big recovery and all this sort of stuff is to give people hope, because we have fiat currencies like the pound, the euro, the dollar, etc., which are not backed by gold. They are backed by one thing and one thing only, and that is belief and faith. So if you lose your faith or belief in the governments and things like that, then it's game over for the governments, you see. So they have to keep this circus going and keep you positive and motivated in the hopes that you will keep doing the things that you used to do. But we also have this other bias that's going on right now. And I learned about this when I was in the military. And I had friends and other colleagues who lost limbs when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan and things like that. And at first it's the end of the world when something major happens like that. But actually, if you wait a little longer, maybe say 6 months or a year later, the brain releases these chemicals. Again, I'm not a neuroscientist, so I don't know all the background to all this. But if you are, please drop some comments below and I'll pin those comments. What happens is the brain releases these chemicals, and then they do these surveys with people a year later, 2 years later, and they say, how is life now? And they actually score how they scored before the accident, because the brain sort of tricks people into thinking that life is great again, everything's the same, because we just learn to cope with our environment. So why am I sharing that story? And again, I can relate because I have a couple of injuries from the army, and if you've seen my other videos, I don't let these things slow me down or stop me. People most of the time don't even know about them. So the reason I'm linking all these things together is because what have we had over the last year? We've had very strict lockdowns, and now we're coming out of some of these lockdowns, but we're still restricted on what we can do. But people have gotten used to a lot of this stuff, and now people are saying, I'm hearing people saying more lockdowns. We should just do more lockdowns, stop schools, teach kids from home, let everyone work from home. All this stuff going on. There's no way people would have said this a year ago. But because it's a step-by-step process, very slowly, now people think this is normal. But another question that I've been asked last week quite a lot is, what is going to cause all of this to correct? And there's a number of variables, but the biggest variable, which will definitely cause a correction, there's no doubt about it, is when interest rates start to rise. Again, I'm not talking about mortgage interest rates here, I'm talking about general interest rates. When these start to rise up, this is when you're going to see things start to correct. And we can use a modern day example. If you look at what happened in Turkey just very recently, where interest rates now are 19%, 19%. This is not a joke, in Turkey right now. And look what's happened to their economy. Their economy is crashing right now. Asset prices are crashing. And they're crashing back to their true fundamental value. So for all of you out there who are overbidding on houses by 100,000 and all this madness, just stop, pause for a second and have a look at what's happening in Turkey, and let that be a lesson for what's going to happen to the rest of us in the West. And my final warning as we end the video today, keep an eye this month on supply chain issues. Be very vigilant of supply chain issues. Keep an eye on this, watch some videos, read some articles on this, because a lot of my clients are telling me daily about all of the supply chain issues that they are having right now. So thank you so much for watching this video right to the end and for being a loyal subscriber for all of this time. I really appreciate you. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow for the monthly Q&A live.